I've been enjoying the iPhone 7 Plus for about 5 years now. That's a pretty long time for a smartphone. Considering how we're on the iPhone 13, I decided to revisit the iPhone 7 Plus and show it the love it deserves. Hey everyone, I'm Rich. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I understand for most people, they don't always have the budget to buy the newest phone every year. Sure, there are plenty of new phones coming out today, but this video is going to be for people who may have the 7 Plus, who may want to compare this to other smartphones around this age and range, or maybe you just want to see how the smartphone's doing. So, let's talk about it. I'm currently running the latest iOS update on the 7 Plus at 15.1. Now, if you watched my video on the iPhone 7 Plus last year, I predicted that this phone will get iOS 15, and it did, so your boy was right. Everything has been pretty stable so far. I haven't experienced too much lag or hiccups while doing simple tasks, but it's still there. When I log into my phone using Touch ID, the animation is still able to get you to your home screen quickly. It's impressive that the A10 Fusion chip, which came out 5 years ago, is still going strong and is really pushing the boundaries in terms of speed. When I'm scrolling through my homepage and opening apps, there's not too many hiccups or stutters. It definitely did get slower over time. You can see here, I feel as though it's pretty noticeable. If anything, the phone is basically just showing its age. It definitely doesn't feel very fast as it did when it first released, but for most simple processes like texting my friend, going on Instagram or Snapchat, the phone manages to handle it pretty quickly, exiting and opening the apps, going around the UI. But when I add FaceTime on top of it, or say listen to music on Spotify, then yes, those added apps will start to make my phone buffer and stutter. It does get a little bit annoying sometimes, but what can you do? Now, how has the design held up after all these years? Well, I'm glad to say that it's still a beautiful device all around. There's just a few marks on the corner of my iPhone. As long as you have a case, it should be pretty fine. The iPhone 7 Plus is still rocking that 5.5-inch display, which at that time was pretty big for Apple. It can still be considered large even by today's standard. It features a full HD Retina IPS display at a max brightness of 625 nits, which is very bright. All of my buttons still work great. The power and volume rockers have a nice audible click to them, and I like that. And the home button. This was the first iPhone to come with a force-sensitive static Touch ID button. Instead of those mechanical clicky ones that you saw on the iPhone 6, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait, I just said iPhone 2. There was never an iPhone 2. Anyhow, they decided to go with this so that it could reduce the mechanical errors that you had on the previous iPhones, like for example, sticky buttons. So essentially the iPhone 7 Plus doesn't have a real mechanical button. It's just an area which you click on and then it vibrates. And speaking about the first, this was also the first iPhone to remove the infamous headphone jack. Apple did this to save some space, make room for other components like they always say. This led to everyone switching over to Bluetooth headphones or AirPods. So it was inevitable, they're gonna move the headphone jack at some point in their iPhone lineup, and it just so happened to be the iPhone 7 Plus. So I can still remember all the controversy that came with it. Back in 2016, everyone took to Twitter, Instagram, YouTube was talking about the removal of the headphone jack. A lot of angry letters from people. Fast forward a couple years later, nobody really cares now. If you have an iPhone, you understand what I'm talking about. For all you Android users, you guys are very lucky. Anyhow, going back to design, the 7 Plus has got that aluminum build on the back, which has a nicely dimmed Apple logo to match the matte black color of this phone. The finish feels very good and high quality still. The paint hasn't chipped off yet. It's still very, very high quality, which is what I like. All in all, this feels like a solid phone. There's no hard edges, it's thin, and it's actually pretty light considering the phone size as you compare to what we have today, for example, the 13 or the 12. Those phones are pretty ginormous and they weigh a little bit more than the 7 Plus. This is still kind of lightweight. It just feels like one sturdy phone after 5 years, and that's what I like. Moving on to the camera, I think the 7 Plus still takes amazing photos. The image processing sensor has always been very reliable on iPhones. The 7 Plus's autofocus is very fast and daytime photos look pretty damn good. At the same time, it was revolutionary. No smartphone could compete in terms of speed, sharpness, and clarity. But speaking about speed, opening the camera app is still quick. It's not as fast as when I first got it, but when I'm switching through the settings, like going through photo to portrait, time-lapse, or video, it's not all that slow. On the video end, the quality is very great still. Seriously, the sensor on this phone with the optical image stabilization makes it look really great in almost all scenarios. I think it's still an underappreciated camera even today. I'm still able to do all the daily tasks I want, like capture that, right moment, go on Snapchat, take pictures of my friends here and there. And even when I go travel, the 7 Plus still doesn't cease to amaze me. me the quality I get from it. And then moving on to the battery. The battery on this smartphone is mediocre. The 2900 milliamp battery is still kind of ancient, especially when you compare this to other smartphones around the same size. The battery did drain moderately faster than how I expected. To give you some stats, my battery health is at 75%, and I believe that when I'm at 100% charge, I'm only getting around 3 to 4 hours of use before this phone dies. Yeah, so it's not that ridiculous 15 plus hours of screen time that Apple always promises when they sell these iPhones. But like I said in my other iPhone videos, or any phone for that matter, regardless what you have, they will have a battery in it and they will probably be using a lithium-ion battery. They tend to degrade over time. It's just how chemistry works. I'm not disappointed about the battery life on this. It's pretty bad, and I know how much I used it, so I understand why the battery is why it is. I'm thinking about getting a battery replaced on this, maybe for a few bucks. Who knows? But that's really all I have on the iPhone 7 Plus. I think this was another great year for this smartphone. Having lasted up to iOS 15, hopefully we might get iOS 16. I'm pretty confident that this phone can last a little bit longer. The A10 Fusion chip on this phone is still going strong. Apps and games still perform pretty well on this smartphone. The design is one of a kind. It's very sleek and slim, and the future looks promising. So hey, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and go in the comment section down below. Did I help you make you purchase an iPhone 7 Plus? Are you on edge about it? Are you getting this for yourself or someone else? Or maybe you just want to see how this phone is doing in 2021. I'm open to hear your comments, tell me anything. I'll be sure to give it a like and reply back to you guys, just talk. But that's all I got for this week's video. Thanks for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you guys then.